that reminds me of the pro-black guys who date and marry white women. and cool if that's what you own, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at you. It just doesn't seem right. Like it just doesn't add up to me, rather.
No, it's not. It's not right. It's not right.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you. So I'll tell you a funny story about me. Maybe like 10th grade, 11th grade, I had a white girlfriend, and it was Valentine's Day, and I was getting ready to go out, and I was like looking good and putting on the cologne, and my dad was like just getting like upset, and I was like, what is going on? Like, like that, like why? He's like, I hope that you're not planning a future with this white girl, and so I'm mad. I'm like, what do you mean white girl? Like, that's my girlfriend, like, and he's like, listen, my hope, and I'm the oldest too, right? He's like, my hope is that my children would find black spouses and have black children and raise them up to be strong black people for our community, to advance our community. And that's what I want.
Yeah.
And I said, man, Dad, like, you never said that to me before. And then he got irate. He got really mad. He said it to you. He said, look at how I live my life.
Yeah.
He said,
modeled it.
I'm married to your mother. I raise y'all. I work. I take care of y'all. Like, everything that I work in the community. I show you what, like, our history. I've taught you our history. I told you how to work within the confines of the structures that we're given and how to succeed.
Yeah.
And whoo, I tell you, like, I didn't like the fact that he didn't like my girlfriend, but I definitely understood it. It takes a lot more than that to offend me, man.
Okay. It's closer. And the funny thing is, I was telling Matt when we was talking, I said, man, I got content that I want to do, and I got people that I want to talk to. And I brought you up. I was like, man, I think you're probably one of the more well-rounded people from what I can see from the outside. I don't know. We haven't talked in years, and I don't know. I just know you're usually very, oh, my bad. We'll look closer so you don't
okay.
But I just know I see you care a lot about politics. You have a lot of thoughts on like Trump and stuff like that. And so for me, I'm like, I like to have the conversations that I don't believe people are really having these days. I think a lot of stuff, people are very like lopsided. It's just pro-black or it's Jesus and that's it. And it's like, there's no nuance. There's no conversations about like, hey, okay, well, like if we go back and we talk about like Botham Jean and, all the stuff that happened there, or not Botham Jean. I always mix them up, and I apologize for that.
Well, Botham Jean, the cops killed him, right? In Dallas?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, now, was that the one where it came into the apartment?
Yeah, they came into his
So
apartment.
that is the right one, right? Okay. And so with that situation, it's like, well, okay, the brother said he forgave her, right? Oh, she shouldn't go to jail. No, she should go to jail.
Right.
Justice still matters in the kingdom. And so it's like, if we're going by the old, I won't say old, I'll say the less black, the less nuanced, the less gray areas of life, because as believers, sometimes I think we don't believe that exists. But it does, even in the black and whiteness of, Jesus's mission. It's like, well, by the traditional laws, the adulterous woman should have been stoned, but the nuance of it was that she walked away and he told her, don't go and sin no more. So there's something to that. You get what I'm saying? That it's like, we don't call it gray areas, but we usually only like the gray areas that allow our sins to still coexist. You get what I'm saying?
There is grace. But we're not, we don't decide who gets grace. That is for the Lord to decide. Yes. And we like to pick and choose how we apply our grace and forgiveness of people for their sins, especially the ones that are committed against us.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I just think that there are certain conversations that we should have. And I think they're healthy. I know they're healthy. but it takes maturity and it takes adultness for that to be able to exist the way that it does. So yeah, man. So that's my thought process on why I will want you to actually come back for some more, because it'll be a more open style. It may be a person sitting over there or another person there or somebody on the couch, whatever. And I want it to be this kind of open forum for us to kind of dialogue. But for the listeners, this is the Mind of a Man Network. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your host, your player, your homeboy, your partner, Anthony Moore, Ant Mo. For those of you who may know for sure, I got my man Desmond Atkins in the building. I met him a long time ago at Crossroads Tabernacle, and what your story about the dude hitting you in the head with the lock is still one of the funniest stories ever, bro. Like, that I remember to this day. Like, the dude hits him in the head with the lock, and he's like, "That's a good one." Like, I was like, why are you applauding this guy for hitting you in your head? You know what I'm saying? But brothers in Christ, man, it never changes. Even if churches, people go different places, life happens. And so that's important for me to put out there. The reality is this: I've been a believer since I was 13, 14 years old. That's not going to change. But I believe that there's a certain mandate even on my life to have certain conversations, to even present a certain way at times that may not look like what people think things should look like. And it doesn't mean you're doing or saying something blasphemous. I just may have the conversation that somebody just will run away from at all costs. And so with that being said, let me get into the intro. Once again, welcome to the Mind of a Man podcast. And there will be a time where I can put my phone away, but this is my first time getting this off. You're mindful of it all when you're mindful of it all. You know where I got that from?
No.
Drake. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? But we're mindful men with a mind full of things. We flesh it out because we're wrapped in flesh. This is a variety podcast, and it's full of current events, Manosphere myths, and cap. Why? Because that's what y'all love. So we're going to get into all those things in between. The goal is to bridge a gap between becoming and being. Or let me flip that. The goal is to bridge the gap between being and becoming. The desire is to curate healthy dialogue and speak candidly from the mind of the male perspective. So, man, so let's get this thing cracking, man. First of all, man, how you feeling?
I feel great. I had a good day of work.
Okay, what are you working at these days, bro?
Well, I do pest control, commercial pest control for Terminex.
Dang, I just paid somebody for that, bro. Literally, like, no lie. This dude showed up to the house 3 days ago. What's today? Tuesday?
Yeah.
So 2 days ago. And let me just say, I hate the cap of somebody acting like they're, oh, you just came in to knock on my door as a business owner because you're doing me a favor. No, you're not. You want to sell your product. Yeah. So it's like, he's like, hey, how you doing? Well, the neighbor next door, they have rats and, they're trying to get rid of those. And so, I want to look out for you guys. I don't want anything. This is what we offer. And I'm just like, bro, just sell what you're going to sell. Like, I don't like the sugarcoat crap that people try to sell you. Mm-hmm. Wasn't a bad deal. And you, even if it doesn't work, you don't want the risk of rats. So it's like, you got me, bro. It is cool. And then I had to sit on the phone the next day or two. It was like 2 days later, maybe. And it was like a welcome call. I'm like, I'm from the generation, unless it's people I love, I don't want to talk on the phone, bro. I don't like.
Yeah, I'm from a different generation.
The 50-year-old, he's like, man, I'm from a different.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
Texting, texting has changed the world.
Yeah, for sure.
I was just talking about on Facebook with a friend of mine of how different the world was before cell phones, and it was fly, and the fly people were that much flyer because your charisma and your presence and the words and your knowledge, it mattered, because people couldn't just Google anything. So people that knew things for real, like, it mattered. Yeah. Like, people had to know directions. Like, when people said they were going to be somewhere, they just showed up because someone would be waiting on you. And if you didn't show up, then it would be a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So let me say this. I do like to talk on the phone to the people I like to talk on the phone to.
Okay.
But it's it's like a million people will call me and I won't answer. And I'm just like, bro, just shoot me a text, bro. Like, I don't want to talk to you. So that is just one of those things. I'm not saying that that's right. That's just how it is. But I do agree with you. We live in the information age, and I feel like it's made everybody so dumb. Like we know more, but we don't know anything.
Right.
And it's taken away our ability to actually think or have conversation. And I think that, I grew up, it's funny because I put something out that said how millennials are the best generation. And I put, because to some of your points, we were pre-internet. I remember when AOL, dial-up and all that stuff was introduced. You get what I'm saying? And I didn't understand it even as a young kid. The drink out of the water hose. Like, we were one of the last generations that actually believed in fighting instead of, pulling out the guns and stuff like that. It's a lot of different things, like the sitting on the phone till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, I was still from the age where, we had the landlines, and it was just like, you up under cushions talking on the phone. No, you got to get up to go to school in the morning. So there was a lot of things about, I would say, our generation and before us that did make it dope. I think appearance mattered much more. Like, I'm talking about, like, even just going to school. The thing that irks me the most is kids going to school with Crocs on. I'm like, I get it because you can do it, but that ain't shoes. Like, if something happens, bro, and on a brawl breaks out or a riot, or I'm like, you're gonna go tumbling over those Crocs, and you depending on sport mode to get you through. Like, come on, bro. So anyway, man, those are some of the things, dog, that I do believe are still very much important. I do believe, you got to talk on the phone, but texting is still a great thing to not deal with certain people, man. Anyway, so over the last couple months, I've been watching a lot of Kevin Samuels, far more than I ever did when he was still with us. The posthumous Kevin Samuels, for those of you who don't know, how he moved on to go to be with the Lord. We don't have to talk about. I don't know if that was ever truly confirmed.
It happened.
Okay.
Yeah. It happened. Listen, he knew what he wanted, and that's what he got. It's everybody lives their life a little differently.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure that he was past the age of trying to find a wife. And so he had kind of resigned himself to that life because he was just going to be dating. And he wasn't really willing to compromise.
I think that it's when you sell an image in the way that he did from the women that he claimed to have, not saying that he didn't have attractive women around him or whatever, it was the homosexual allegations. It was the, what is your expertise? And he made a lot of great points, to be honest, about, us needing such a proof of concept from him, but other people that feel the same type of space, or just completely other spaces that we didn't know. We weren't going around saying, hey, show us that you're qualified to sell us this meat. Like, whatever, whatever the field is, it seems like for Black people, typically we have to jump through more hurdles and hoops to get the trust of our own people, being the what would you want to say, the demographic of being Black versus somebody walking into our neighborhood to sell us a Kirby or something, or some knives. They would be treated better. They would be taken more seriously as a professional even than a Kevin Samuels. The amount of Black women that celebrated his death is quite sickening.
It was
to me.
horrible.
It's deplorable. And so my thing is hindsight, right? Because I've been looking at so much of his content, he was more kind, yet I won't even say brutally honest, because it wasn't sometimes the things that we need to hear, and you'll know this as being a dad, it's not going to be a nice way to say certain things. It's we would like to believe, but they need to be said nonetheless. And I saw him be kind to a woman, for example, who, when she called in, she said she was 5'2", she was 240 pounds, she was 43 years old, and she said she believed that she should have a man who makes $200,000 a year take care of her. And mind you, I think that are you familiar with the idea of the Manosphere?
Yes. Yeah.
Help me understand it a little bit better, because you know, guys like Kevin Samuels swear by it, and then a lot of other people would say it's the worst thing that ever happened to men.
Well, the manosphere is broad, okay? But it's going to be content that's primarily focused to men, okay? So, the manosphere, red pill, it could be gym bros working out, it could be self-help, it can be how are you going to make yourself a better man? All right. Now, like I said, there's different versions of that. So there is and so Kevin Samuels, before he ever spoke to women, his content was for men.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of that
his content was teaching men how to build themselves up so that they could be a man who would be in a position to date women and to find the woman that they wanted.
Or to be their version of how high value, whatever that may be for that man.
The best version of themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
Be fit, be in shape, make money, have your stuff in order, have your house in order, have your house clean, have a good job, have prospects, be working towards something, right?
Yeah.
Like that was his main issue.
Yeah.
The thing is that when he was talking to men, the women couldn't stay out of the conversation.
Yeah.
So they wanted to insert themselves into the conversation. And that's when he ended up talking to these women and then humbling these women. The women continued to call in.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to hear what he had to say.
Yeah.
And they wanted to kind of to beat him. It's like they wanted to be the woman that showed up well on screen with something that kind of debunked what he was saying.
Yeah.
And none of them did that.
None of it worked. Yeah. With the biggest takeaways being a man who provides doesn't care about how much money you make as a woman. And regardless, you're going to have to, at the core of you, have femininity as the thing that leads the way over whatever it seems like most creatives in the manosphere space particularly take issue with Black women. Particularly, it's not to say that they could address all women, but by and large, their issues seem to always be, it's even a newer guy, and he doesn't have the cachet or that it factor to him that Kevin Samuels had, but he also doesn't go as far as Kevin Samuels was willing to go with his content. And it's the same thing. They talk down. It does seem to me that they talk down about to Black women and about Black women more particularly. Do you see it that way? And if not, or if so, why do you think that is?
Well, I don't see that. I do know it's there. Like I said, it's a spectrum. So there are going to be people that are much more misogynistic. And then if they're misogynistic, then the Black women are going to get it the worst, because how they say, when, somebody catches a cold, they catch the flu, you know what I'm saying? Black women always get it worse, because the worst of whatever's coming, they're going to get it. So if they don't like women, then they definitely don't like Black women. Right. Okay. And so, it's like that women should be in their place and they should know their role, and you are the head and they need to submit. That's part of the manosphere too. And I don't necessarily agree with that, because you're only just trying to put women down, not actually build up the man. And I have a problem with the women content that does the same. Women content that just simply puts men down and doesn't build women up and show them ways to build themselves up.
Yeah.
I have a very big problem with content that does that.
I can see somebody already saying, well, why is it the MO getting the red pill misogynistic content and you ain't seeing it? Well, you said that I don't see it, but I know it exists.
No, I see some of it. I just don't, I don't do it, because it's that's not what I'm there for. I'm really there for empowerment.
Yeah.
Now, also, there is a line. What some people might see as misogynistic, but I've been called the misogynist more times than I even can count online when I have conversations with people, because I have some conservative values.
And that's what I was going to say. That's what being a believer a lot of the time is going to come off as, and a lot of it. Let me go on my rant right here for a second. people who used to go to church and don't go to church no more have the most viewpoints about people who are believers than anybody. And it's like, bro, you're 39. You haven't went to church since you were 14. Stop trying to argue with me about church and God and all. It's like, bro, you don't know.
Yeah.
Or the people who think just because they were a part of church culture that they can speak to certain things. And I'm talking about, for me, that's the Deontay Kyles of the world. That is the Cam Newtons of the world. I really just get tired of hearing about how we think we're holier than thou, or, you know, quoting stuff from scripture. Like, for a long time, Cam Newton was quoting stuff about David. I'm like, bro, yeah, okay, he had a bunch of wives, and guess what? It wasn't okay. When the Bible says that David's love for Jonathan far surpassed that of a woman, that wasn't a good thing. It didn't mean he was gay, but it also wasn't a good thing. Right? That means that he allowed that man and his relationship with him to sit above the woman that he decided to, you know, to for them to be one with.
That's
essentially.
right. Yeah, he was. Yes, and she was supposed that the marriage vows, the marriage covenant was supposed to be more important than any outside friendship.
Right, and it was the idea that Darius Daniels breaks it down perfectly, where he says there are descriptive and prescriptive. David having a bunch of wives in the Bible was descriptive. That was the God allowing you to see the results. You know, even with Solomon, same thing. Which means that wasn't what he was prescribing for us. That was his way of describing the things that happen in some level of detail.
Right.
There's the law of first mention, which is what essentially when God is saying, hey, this is something that I want you to pay attention to, particularly more, is the thing that I bring up first. So first we see Adam and Eve being wed together as man and wife, just them. That is the prescriptive way that God designed marriage.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? And so I just think that people come in with these outside ideas or telling us about how things went in Africa or whatever. And it's just like, what does that have to do with us? We're believers. We don't go by the same rules as the world. That's why at a certain point we couldn't wear certain fabrics and we couldn't eat certain meats and all of those things. So the circumcision became that spiritually, outside of it being something that was fleshly. So therefore it opened the door to other things. But when you don't desire to still have a closeness or live in I don't want to say live in a reality, but it's like anything else that you do. You can't say that you're a boxer if you boxed up until you were 12 and you don't box anymore. You're not a boxer, bro. You just knew about the sport at a certain point. Those who can say that they are part of a certain sect or culture or whatever, they immerse themselves in it every day or far more often than they do anything else. I worked at the post office for 7 years. I'm a postal worker.
Right.
Because it's what I've done by trade for 7 years.
You're in the grind.
I'm in it. So somebody who did it for a year, 7 years ago, and then they left and now they're a plumber, you can't, like, cool, you can talk about what you did, bro. I'm still there. So I just want to say that, man, we get tired of hearing about all the griping and complaining that you guys want to do about something that you just simply aren't in. Like, I can't talk about a lot of stuff. I don't even have to try to, you know, it's a lot of stuff that I just can't speak to, bro. Like, I was never, you know, for lack of a better word, I was never hoeing in the streets. That was just never my thing. Like, no matter how much I thought in my mind I wanted to be that type of guy or whatever, that wasn't my life. So I can't talk about in 2015 when I went on this amazing run. That just never wasn't my life. I wanted to be a monogamous guy for the most part. Have I made certain choices and decisions in my life at certain times? Yes, but I can't speak to being that manner of a man. And so when we talk about red pill community, I hate it, to be honest, because all I ever see is a bunch of men picking the worst type of women on top of that. And pardon me, I'm not the worst profession or something that is deemed unacceptable by culture. So it's like, you go get the OnlyFans girl, you go get the strippers, you go get the porn stars.
Cardi B.
you go get those type of women,
Mhm.
and then it's like you talk down to them on a platform, and then you call them out their name, you call them B words, and then you kick them out of your studio. That's not manly to me.
No. Yeah. So I've watched that stuff at times. Like, I mean, it's been on for a long time.
For sure.
I don't watch it anymore.
But
You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, the fresh and fit,
the whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so this is some of the talking points are good. Some of the talking points that they use to refute the way that the excuses that women use to say I chose this life and that's why this works for me.
Yeah.
Because like, so I want to hear that. I want to hear Andrew Wilson break it down and tell them now, do I see the world eye to eye the same way as Andrew Wilson does? No.
Yeah,
I don't. But some of his arguments, some of his logic, it's fail safe. It's, you know what I mean? Like there's no way that I haven't seen anyone beat it.
Now you're not talking about Andrew Tate.
No, not Andrew Tate.
Okay, Andrew Wilson. So I'm not familiar with him.
He's on the whatever podcast, but it's not his podcast. He's not the guy who runs it. Yeah. But he's a Christian. And he debates, right? And basically, they'll come and say the reasons why we should be able to date multiple men or it doesn't matter how much sex you had or whatever. Yeah. And the only thing that they have him on is that he married a single mother who had children before him. That's it. That's the only thing. Other than that, everything else that he said, like all his advice to men is good advice. Yeah. He doesn't say don't ever, but he says, hey, if you have a choice between someone who has kids and someone who doesn't have kids and you don't have any kids, you should be looking for someone that doesn't have kids so you can build with them and y'all are coming at it from the same point of view. You know, he didn't say it as an absolute. Yeah. And so, but it's like they can't refute what he's saying, so they're gonna attack the person.
Absolutely. And it's funny because that in a weird or roundabout way, maybe not so weird, that reminds me of the pro-black guys who date and marry white women. and cool if that's what you own, bro. Yeah. I'm not mad at you. It just doesn't seem right. Like it just doesn't add up to me, rather.
No, it's not. It's not right. It's not right. Okay. I'm gonna tell you. So I'll tell you a funny story about me. So I went to like very mixed schools. That's not when I was younger. So up till third grade, then it was like all black, almost all black school and Caribbean. And then from 7th grade to 12th grade, my school was like the United Nations. Okay. And so maybe like 10th grade, 11th grade, I had a white girlfriend and it was Valentine's Day and I was getting ready to go out and I was like looking good and putting on the cologne and my dad was like just getting like upset, and I was like, what is going on? Like, like that, like why? He's like, I hope that you're not planning a future with this white girl, and so I'm mad. I'm like, what do you mean white girl? Like, that's my girlfriend, like, and he's like, listen, my hope, and I'm the oldest too, right? He's like, my hope is that my children would find black spouses and have black children and raise them up to be strong black people for our community, to advance our community. And that's what I want. Yeah. And I said, man, Dad, like, you never said that to me before. And then he got irate. He got really mad. He said it to you. He said, look at how I live my life. Yeah. He said,
modeled it.
I'm married to your mother. I raise y'all. I work. I take care of y'all. Like everything that I work in the community. I show you what, like, our history. I've taught you our history. I told you how to work within the confines of the structures that we're given and how to succeed. Yeah. And I tell you, like, I didn't like the fact that he didn't like my girlfriend, but I definitely understood it. And I understood it because it's the one thing I can say about my dad is he always practiced what he preached. Yeah. Like he was a strong example of, you're not going to find him telling you to do something that he's not doing himself, and so it all of a sudden in that moment, it was like all of the pressure that he had put on me to succeed and do my work, and it was like, oh, it makes sense.
Yeah. So why is it not okay then? Like, why did you say, well, no, it's not okay?
Because the idea that you're trying to show us how to be, it's your model is off.
Yeah.
Like, if you're showing us how to be a strong Black community, then that involves a Black man with a Black woman. Okay, now there's people that argue about what is actually Black. Like, if you're FBA or if you're Nigerian, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get into that right now.
So let's just park here for a second, because I did an episode a couple months ago. It was whenever something happened with the weather. It was a storm real bad or something like that.
Okay.
Iced over or something. I can't remember. But basically, I did an episode or two about Corey Holcomb. And I was talking about how he just lived contradictory, man. And, you know, they had the video where he kind of punched the lady on camera.
Yeah.
And I just spoke to a bunch of that stuff because that's what I do. And they kept coming on there talking about, are you FBA? And I'm like, what does that matter? I don't know. I never heard of it before, number one.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, what does that have to do with me talking about Corey Holcomb and the example that he is? So what is this? What is this thing? Because I still don't. Foundationally Black American, cool. That means that your family has been here since the inception of America.
They were slaves.
They were slaves.
They were slaves. Like, you know, as opposed to people that were just immigrants that came after slavery was over. Like, for instance, my grandparents and my great-grandparents, they weren't slaves, but they came over in Jim Crow. Okay. You know? So it's like, I mean, and my dad has told me stories of his mom, you know, people saying, oh, you look like you just came off the banana boat, you know? And it wasn't only, that wasn't white people saying that. Oh, yeah. That was Black. Like, so it's like there's colorism, there's racism. It's basically like you're coming over here to potentially take my spot, but it's deeper, because when we talk about reparations, people want the reparations only to go to the descendants of slaves. Okay. But the problem with that is that there was slavery in the Caribbean too.
Yeah, for sure.
So someone could have come from Jamaica and their ancestors were slaves in Jamaica. Yeah. So does that make them less deserving of reparations for slavery because their great grandfather was a slave in Jamaica as opposed to a slave in America? Do you understand what I like? Sure. And so I look at it as a way of just dividing, like Black people in general, and our communities need to come together. We need unity. We need some sort of unity, kind of like the Black Panthers, okay, who were out feeding school kids. They didn't say, oh, your parents are from Nigeria, we're not feeding you. It's like, you look Black, they're going to treat you like us, we're going to feed you. So that way, when you go to school, you can learn and your belly's full. All right. And the reason why we have a free school lunch program right now is because the FBI and the CIA and the United States government didn't want Black people feeding the children and teaching the children and showing the children love. So they said, we have to at least do what they're doing, so that way they have a better choice, a chance of choosing us later on down the line.
Okay. So as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about some stuff that I've heard people say. And it brings me to the question, and I did a show about this as well. Is it Black first? Because I've heard people speak to their frustration with anybody that is Christian before they're Black, or anything before they're Black. You know, they have an issue with that. When I hear stuff like that, right, I do think it's noble. I think it's necessary. But it sounds like, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth or anybody in for that particular reason, it just sounds like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you would do it for the black kid, but the white kid would starve.
No, that's not it. The idea is that all kids should get it, and the white kid probably has it because his family generally, statistically, has more money to feed him, and the black kid's family doesn't. Okay, so that's the starting point. So there's the poorest areas of America are white. It's like, Arkansas, West Virginia, like, where it's dirt poor and there's no running water. Like that. Black people are not there. But those areas are like the richest are white people and the poorest are white people, like, because there's more white people in this country than there are black people. All right. The idea is I don't want us to find ways to divide ourselves as black people. And no, it's not always black first. That's a naive viewpoint. This is nuanced, right? I do want the advancement of black people. And I'm willing to work towards it. And the same way how there are black people that are scammers, that are murderers and robbers, I want those people in prison. I want those people separated from our community so that our community can prosper. Okay, so it's not all black people. Like if you're not good for our community, we can do without you. Okay, but if you are black, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you, and I want to be a part of that because we have been subjugated and held down for so long that it's time for us to rise. Like I was taught that I had to be twice as good just to maintain and be in the spaces that I was in. And that was proven to be true to me because even though I deserved to be where I was, people always questioned it. And the people that questioned it weren't black.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I definitely understand what you're saying. I still struggle with it because I know the hot words that cause chaos, that have the potential to cause chaos. And saying it's time for us to rise is going to be taken in a way that can be very detrimental to us as a people. It's the same type of thought process that will have a young black man pull out his phone at a traffic stop and potentially lose his life because he thinks that he has the same rights. And he does.
I got you.
But he doesn't.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
I get,
and
yes.
So I think it's just a fine line. And my best friend is a police officer. You get what I'm saying? So I don't have an issue with police officers. I just think that I understood at a very young age that we're not fighting the same fight. We're not playing by the same game or rules. And I didn't need anybody to explain it to me. When I was 18 and I got pulled over, I was over there at that four-way right over there off of I forgot the name of that road over by the church.
Cooks Lane.
It's over there, but it's the first one before you drive down that dip and come up, and then it's Randall Mill. So maybe that is Cooks. But when that cop pulled me over, and I had never been pulled over before, to my knowledge, my heart was racing. When he walked up to that car with that pistol, I knew he was in control, and I knew that it was yes sir, no sir. I don't care what part of Meadowbrook I grew up in. I can't take the same liberties as other people or races or whatever. And so I just hope that people understand what that means to desire to be better, but not think that it means that the liberties are dispersed the same. So
there's a black reality and there's white privilege.
For sure.
And I just watched a really good video on white privilege today. I can't remember the guy, but it's a famous guy, a famous actor. And someone said, "Oh, because you have white privilege." And he said immediately, he was like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I worked real hard.
I know you're talking about.
And he was like, he's talking because his wife is black, and he was talking, and then they just went through all of these scenarios where he didn't have to worry and things worked out a certain way. Or like he said, "Hey, like, let's go shopping." And his wife was like, "Yeah, let me go get dressed." And he's like, "What do you mean? Like, you're dressed?" And it's like, no, like, because if you don't look good, then they're going to think you're stealing and they're going to follow you around the store. He didn't understand that because that never happened to him. I mean, and it was just a laundry list of those things. So it's like, yes, so the revolution is not necessarily for black people. It's the poorer, the people that don't have, to realize that the rich are just finding ways to kind of keep us fighting with one another or concentrating on things that don't matter instead of focusing on them as being the agents of chaos, the ones that are keeping us down.
It was always it always has been, always will be about classism, elitism. It was never really about what you look like. And when they were able to convince poor whites that they were better than poor blacks,
that's right.
That's where it was forever. You won that battle. You know what I'm saying? Because I think the ultimate war is gonna be won by God, by Christ.
Amen.
Anyway, so I you know what I'm saying? And here's my thing that I'll say, and we can actually get back on to that. But this is what I wanted to do, though. No, this is good. My thing is this. Why I've never really been attracted. So my first girl that I liked ever was a white girl named Amanda when I was in grade school. I was in like 3rd grade, 1st grade or something, right? But typically in my life, I've not really been attracted to white women. Nothing against them. I just like thick, curvy black women. You know what I'm saying? That's just been my preference. But I think the biggest disconnect for me in, being with somebody that wasn't from my culture is, man, I need for when we pull up to this, when we get pulled over, I need you to understand there's certain ways to behave and to speak. When we go into certain arenas, it needs to be understood, like them kids need to be done before we go somewhere for that exact reason. If it means we got to be late, we got to be late. Or, there's a certain way that we have to behave ourselves in situations. And it's like culturally, if they've never been a part of it, it's hard for them to understand it. And I don't think that I would ever have the time or patience to be able to make you get it, because it's one of those things where I do truly believe when you're talking about existing in this world, you have to get it.
I got you. I mean, I'm not trying to put anything on you, but I think that the hypothetical woman that you would choose would be empathetic to the point that she would understand that she needed to know something, and then she would ask you, and that you would have the patience to take the time to talk to her about it because you love the other aspects of her, and the fact that she was actually perceptive enough to understand and then ask the question.
I think that there are innate things within us.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
I see what you're.
I think I just understood being young. Like, man, I'm just not like them. Like the experience, like how they behave, how they look, how their parent, like they got parents. The smallest things. I just think it's something in us culturally, or it's another word that I want to use, but I'll say culturally, because we can get into the what is culture thing, but I just think as to what it means to grow up in modern day America and the things we've experienced, is just certain things that you either get it or you don't. And that's with me understanding that slaves being freed would not have happened without the help of many white people, or, right, people of other races or creeds, and so I do understand that. I just, I don't know, man. And I think one of the most disrespectful things that one of my exes said to me was like, that's interesting. I thought you would have married a white woman. And it was just like, you're just trying to throw a shot at me because of arson. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, but let's get back on track a little bit. Attempt, because we're going to go, I want to be able for us to allow conversations to go where they go. But so Kevin Samuels, what did he get right and what did he get wrong?
Well, men are the ones who control marriage, and women are the ones who have the power of choosing the men that they are with. Women control sex, men control marriage.
Yeah, there we go.
So he was right about that. Yeah. He was right about the fact that if you're a man and you don't have your stuff together, then you don't need to be out there actively, trying to court or pursue a woman, because what are you offering to her?
Yeah.
So he was right there. He was right. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I think that the truth is best served cold sometimes.
That's true. He was right that women hit a wall.
Yeah, but I mean, the same way he gave it to women was the way he gave it to men initially. And I think it's just far less entertaining for a man to chastise another man who just ain't got his stuff together or isn't willing to do the work to get his stuff together. But the men versus women is an age-old thing. So it's always going to be more entertaining. Now, if you're talking about two men punch each other in the face, that's different.
Yeah.
But verbal sparring, I'm probably the only person that wants to hear two people have an intellectual argument about certain aspects, or one of the few. So yeah, I think just his approach. I think that strong men are always gonna run into what's the word? They're gonna run into what's the word? Like opposition.
Okay.
Strong men are always gonna run into opposition because especially strong black men, because that is what people fear. And I can't explain why. Bro, I am 5'7". No, I might be capping. I'm 5'6.5". Look, I was about to give myself another inch there. I'm 5'6.5". I'm probably the heaviest I ever been, about 182. And when I speak, it makes people uncomfortable. I'm a union steward at the post office, and when I say something, the head manager will want to pull me to the side to tell me to watch my tone because it makes people react.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just something that's within any of us that it is just something to pay attention to. And I think when you look at Malcolm and Martin and Gaddafi and Garvey, and if you look at any of these strong black men, it always was a threat. And so that's just what it is. There's nothing you can do to change it. I'm not here to tell you if those were good men or bad men.
Yeah.
But those were powerful men. Those were men who made impact and had influence in ways that couldn't be taught. And it's always going to come off a certain way. So even if it's just you in your neighborhood, in your family, at your job, your metron, your circle of influence, whenever you can optimally affect it a certain way, it doesn't always have to be, it could be a boss. It could be your own spouse. It could be the next door neighbor. They're always going to feel a certain way when we present ourselves in a way that allows us to affect and impact the people around us. Because I do believe that there's an aspect of America that is truly designed to, you go to school, you get a job, you work a job, you do it, you make the people that are who created that job way more richer, and then you may get to enjoy some piece of this American pie or American dream while you have 10 or 15, maybe 20 years left on this earth. And then we do this, we just continue this cycle. And so I think that any one of us that has that ability, because man, I don't think it's muscle. I think it's this thing right here that makes you very dangerous, and in the best ways. I'm saying not in like the spook by the door, even though there's always an aspect of that in being able to infiltrate systems and generationally change things that maybe you saw but didn't know how to impact or weren't as aware of. It's always gonna be there, but being able to do that, like actually implement it, is always going to be dangerous.
Let me expound on that.
Yes, sir.
So you, as the black man who has been put on earth to be the head of the black household, when you speak, the power in your voice is that you can create and then lead the community. So it's not just you acting by yourself.
Absolutely.
It's that your voice has the power to change the tone and the tenor of the room.
Yeah.
And then you can change the reality of the community. And so why would the people in power want us to have power?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely, man. So I think that Kevin had power, and I think that where he got it wrong was, I think at the core of any red pill community, any manosphere apex, is still the head peacock having whatever he wants at his disposal. I think when I saw a video where he talked about Well, once you get to a certain level, I definitely would say get the sugar baby, do this and that, and then you tell them and you put this in place. You got one here, one there, one there. And I don't believe at my core that is the apex of what it means to be a man or to be successful, is not having one here, one here, one there, and you could do whatever, and your money is just the great equalizer that allows you. Now, does that mean that in this world of capitalism and whatever, that is just maybe a blanket truth for how we live? When you even within Christendom, in any sect, in Islam, the guys who have the money have the power. That's just the truth.
And the guys that have the power have the women.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I mean, you can have some power without having money. You could have a powerful position, right? And the women are going to gravitate towards it because it's like an elixir. It's like a cologne. Like, and so
it represents freedom, access, opportunity, just, man, whatever. It can really, that's why when we go back biblically, Jesus said, you cannot serve both God and mammon. He didn't say God and the devil, God and mammon. So it's this this great provider that isn't God.
Either you hate one and love the other.
And so it's like, that's why it's like, no, it's not the love of money. I mean, it's not money, it's the love of money. And so it's just understanding those key, small, minor aspects will save you a lot of time in trying to have these debates that don't go anywhere.
Because so Kevin Samuels was not a Christian influencer. He was an influencer.
Yes,
he was not leading people to Christ, though.
No, but he did profess to be a believer. And that was the interesting thing to me. Because even for me, let me take it a step further. I say the N-word. I also say some cuss words, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
But I do believe that is something, and I want to blame one of my partners if he watches this, because he the one that introduced me to this life. But in a serious note, it's something that I am mindful of, and I'd like to definitely exercise and be better at, because I think when I would curse the way that I did, it was an expression or outward release of the things that I had bottled up, and I didn't have another way to express it at that time. Being a full-fledged believer still, it felt a little bit better when I said it with a cuss word come behind it, just to be honest. And I think it just became one of those things that was harder to exercise for me at times. You know what I'm saying? And so regardless, my point to that was Kevin Samuels, the way that he talked, it just wasn't right to me at times, man. And mind you, I think he had a lot of times where he gave a lot of grace, and he was very even he even handled certain women with a certain level of care and being honest. Like, one lady had a disability, and I don't know, she wasn't a bad looking young lady, but she couldn't walk or something like that, and he was very graceful in how he told her things that she could do, instead of just saying, hang it up, baby, you ain't gonna never get nobody, don't nobody want to deal with that, blah 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 blah, whatever, But I just think that even for us as men, we have to be able to have the ability to have discretion in when and how we use our voices. Because I forgot who it was, I think it was Jason Wilson. He was talking about yelling is a powerful tool. It's just about how you use it. Am I going to yell at a kid to say, come on, baby, get up, you got it, I believe in you, you next right now? Or you trash, you soft, you little punk, get out of here, you soft. Like, it could affect the way that this kid or woman or whoever processes information. And when being a high value man is based off of the money that you have, and then you attribute it to the way that you carry yourself, money doesn't make you less of an emotional person. It doesn't make you less sensitive. It just can give you the ability to mask those things based off of the circumstance and situation. If I'm talking to somebody who I know doesn't affect my life, if I know I'm not going to see you again, and I'm still going to be richer than you, and I'm still going to get any woman I want to, then yeah, I can be a little more calm and just look at you like, yeah, all right, bro, whatever.
He also advocated for therapy.
Yes.
You know, so he advocated for men to have therapy. So it was basically, man, work on yourself.
Yes.
And then get yourself to the point where you are now suitable to have to take on the responsibility of a woman.
Yeah.
Because he's looking at it as the woman is now going to be your responsibility and you're going to be expected to take the lead role.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of women taking the lead role, Cheyenne Bryant. Now, I would dare not ever again call her a doctor. And I'm going to just be honest. I've made content about her as well before. I think she is a very poor example of whatever it is that she was supposed to have been doing, to be honest. I can't, I've listened to people communicate about what they thought about her. And I want to get your, whatever you do think about her, the story about Argosy, other people proving that that wasn't true. The idea of, I listen to Torre and what's my I ain't gonna say my guy because I got a lot of issues with him. Yes, Mark Lamont. I got a lot of issues with him. Them talk about, like, there's a certain way a doctor even speaks. Like, you don't have the language of the land. Yeah, doctorial, editorial, doctorial. It just doesn't add up. You know, and then the fact that you thought that you could treat us like we were 12-year-old boys and show yourself in a bikini, and I was gonna forget all the nonsensical things that you said over the past 2 to 3 years.
No, that was just her saying my life is better than yours, and I have pretty privilege, and whatever you think, like, my life, and I still go on. That was her way of just basically saying, like, yeah, whatever, y'all caught me, like, I'm still so yeah, we're gonna, like with Cardi's song. Yeah. Well, actually, wasn't that what was playing? Like, I'm pretty and I'm petty.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Cardi, but yeah, I do remember this.
It's like, I'm pretty and I'm petty as, you know, and so it's like, yeah, like, that was her way of just saying, like, you know, what I do have, like I have enough to be relevant, and y'all can't do anything about it. Kind of this, but so yeah, what I think about her is that as far as therapy goes and Black people getting therapy, she has done a huge disservice to that.
Yes.
Okay. Because now people are going to be more distrustful. Whatever positive she did, she erased it all. When she said things like, the only reason you need a license is to bill insurance. No, you need a license in order to protect the person that's coming to see you, so that way you answer to someone. The same way how no woman is going to choose a man that just makes all of his own rules. Like, if you don't answer to someone, if you're God, like, why should I pick you? I can just be my own God. Yeah. You know, like, nah, I'm going to come underneath your authority because you come underneath the authority of God. Yeah. And so it's like, and I believe that. And so I see what you're doing. So now I accept what you're putting down. You know what I mean?
Yes. I mean, think about it. It was a guy, I don't know if you remember a few years ago, the guy who was acting like he was a doctor, like he was a gynecologist. And he was,
I didn't hear about that.
Dude only went to the school of hard knocks. He had never been to any school, and he had seen quite a few women. This dude had been in between ladies' legs, and he was never a doctor a day in his life. He went to prison. And so that's why I'm like, you can't just walk around. And I listen, and I cannot stand Corey Holcomb to this day, to be honest. Respectfully, I just the dude is stop. But what he said though, and for those women who think that it is about like dogpiling on Cheyenne or whatever, no, it's not about that. But the idea of pretty privilege, I don't understand why it's so reckless and it can be so dangerous. We're not talking about somebody who's just using her stuff to get in clubs or, you know, to go on a date or to, you know, get an occasional trip here or there. You're being paid. You went on platforms. Pastor Jamal Bryant, who I'm good on him too, but he apologized to the public for having you on that show. Like, it is not dutiful. It is very, what he said was that she checks the box for what would be what people would consider the prototypical characteristics of a psychopath. And I can't say that I disagree with him. Not because I dislike the lady so much. I hate what she stands for. But you have to have some audacity, some unmitigated gall, some delusional belief that you could still walk around, even with the under the guise of pretty privilege, to be able to not apologize, to show some contrition for leading people astray, lying. You've sold books. You've been on major platforms. You've made friends with people. I cannot believe that it is just you think you're pretty. And, you know, even the story that came out about, what did she say? She had 6 degrees and she had 3 stores on Melrose when she was 19. What drug money did you get access to? Or what man paid for this opportunity that you've had, besides the fact that it still sounds like you're lying? And you still not been able to provide us with certificates or diplomas to show proof of what you've done.
I mean, she has some degrees. The question was the master's and the doctorate, and she has an honorary doctorate. So
are we really?
No. Listen,
Okay.
So that's just in name only. Once you have an honorary doctorate, then you are a doctor. Now, I understand, like, you know, so it's like she can call herself doctor based off the honorary doctorate. Now, if you're asking me, do I think she's lying? Hell yeah, she's lying. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, hell yeah, she's lying. Like, no, she's not a doctor. Like, no, all her degree, her graduate degrees, they're might probably all phony. Maybe one of them is. Maybe she has a master's in something. Yeah. You know what I mean? In order to actually get to the point of entering a doctorate program, I do believe she has a master's and that she has a bachelor's. And so do I believe that she has done some study? Yes, I do believe she has some basis and some foundation. Is she keeping up with, you know, as things change? Is she keeping up with that?
The
no.
practicums, the what do you call it? The continuing education.
Yes, she's not doing any of that. She is a coach. She is a life coach.
Yes.
And she could have bowed out gracefully and said, there are people that I can benefit, and those people can find me, and then they can pay me outside of the confines of insurance, which is very constrictive, and it doesn't allow me to do all the things that some of these people need. And all of that could have been true. Instead, she doubled and tripled and quadrupled down to say, basically, there's a Dr. Raquel Martin. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've ever seen her stuff on her content, but she broke down everything as to why Cheyenne Bryant is bad for the community, bad for Black people in therapy specifically, and how she's doing a disservice to the people that are actively doing the work. Because, oh man, I don't even know where to start. Like, so in order, like, so the same way how you said that you as a Black man knew and understood that the world was different for you. Yeah. Okay. So if you're a therapist to Black people, then the expectation is that you should know how Black people see the world. Yeah. And understand that. And then your therapy is going to start from that point right there. Mm-hmm. Now, I can't get into all the technicalities, but at least that, right? Yeah. And because you're also going to have less studies. Yeah, practice studies. So the knowledge of knowing specifically how to approach these things and how and actually how to, like, are you going to give stories about yourself when you're the therapist to gain a personal bond, or do you keep it separate? Yeah. Like that's a real technical tactic of how you're actually going to give them therapy and what the best way is to pull things out. Right. And there's what the book says, and then there's what I might think is right. And just because I had some schooling, I still need to know what the book said, or what's the right order. Yeah. Which one do I try first? And then if that one doesn't work, I can still go to the other one. Or I might have done irreparable damage if I do this one first. And now there's no way that I can actually do the therapy that's needed with this person. Yeah. You know? And I mean, and those are things that's why people pay big money to go to school and get these licenses and get these degrees. Yes.
The fact that she could literally, quite literally say, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. It's like, it's a joke. And I think it's so disrespectful. You know, I got my, not my master's. I got a year of grad at Dallas Baptist, but I was working on my master's in arts and counseling. But I got my degree in psychology. And so it's just interesting, you know, the links that you have to go through. You know, you can't do anything with the master's is the lowest level.
Oh, in that profession. Yes.
Like, before you can be qualified to do anything. So it's just like, the fact that you've called yourself doctor and then you went and got it trademarked and all of this stuff, it's nasty because it's too much of it's like having a kid and they got a cookie out of the cookie jar and you're like, did you take a cookie out of the cookie jar? And they got crumbs on their mouth and they're like, no, I didn't. And it's like, you're just gonna continue to lie to me. Like, it's just
the kids will see. The adults should know better. The adults should know better. No, you're right.
Yeah, but that's what makes me think that she's also, there's an aspect of, she may be an intelligent woman, but she's not well. That's the part that is concerning to me.
Remember when Paul Pierce pulled her card?
Yes.
Yeah.
She was quiet.
Yeah. Because
and then she made it seem like, oh, well, you know, behind the scenes, Paul had already told me. No. He exposed you. And you can't argue with truth. You know what I'm saying?
You can't argue with the truth.
Can't argue with the truth, man. And so, yeah, man. So, man, look, it makes me think about Pontius Pilate asked Jesus, what is truth? I forgot who brought that up, but they said it shifted history when he asked that question, because at that point you could just question anything, and that's a whole nother danger in itself. But anyway, Adam22, man. Adam22. I had put a video up and on Facebook or Instagram, wherever, and I talked about, I didn't feel sorry for him. His wife filed for divorce. You told me beforehand what your thoughts was on maybe what it was that he was actually doing. I just think in our culture, man, we don't have a lot of respect for marriage, period. And I ain't acting like I've done marriage right, because I haven't. You know what I'm saying? But I just think it's certain displays of manhood, because I definitely want to get into the question of what is manhood, because, man, you can't, quote unquote, pimp your wife out. You can't have some, take the P. Diddy approach to relationship, and you got some freaking dude from the Mandingo tribe coming to do all this stuff to you. I just don't, what is going on, bruh? Like, I don't understand, and I can't expect everybody to take a biblical approach, Ephesians 5 approach to marriage. I'm not saying that, but marriage still used to mean something.
Or even manhood. No,
yes.
No. Yes. So marriage, marriage, we believe that marriage is a covenant.
Yeah.
Okay. Between a man and a woman, right? The world believes that marriage is a legal process that you go through, a legal contract, and so right there, all the fruit of those trees are going to be different.
And can we also, for all of you marriage is a bad contract guys, y'all sign up for phone contracts, y'all, like, it's amazing to me how most of the examples that people give of bad contracts, some of y'all signed arms, to get your house, 30-year adjustable rate, mortgages, but you'll complain about marriage, and man, listen, this one is one that kind of rubs me the wrong way, because I feel like in a lot of ways we're the blind leading the blind so many times. Like, when you have somebody who is like the Cheyenne Bryants of the world, and not to pick on her, but we have people who get on here and give us advice. Dexter Jackson, how about we go to him, right? Do you remember his situation?
I mean, that's the guy who was like the panderer to women.
Yes, and he was screwing hundreds of women on the road.
Of course he was. You know, like I knew it. I didn't. I watched him like maybe 2 or 3 times. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Bro,
like,
it's only so much pandering you could do, bruh. And so it's just like when you got those guys, anybody who goes above and beyond in that regard, and I'll even go so far as to say as a believer, I think that there's certain displays of being a believer. We speak the truth in love. We try to model the best we can, but it's also Galatians
6:9.
Yeah. Well, when I was a teenager, so he was asking me about some scripture, right? And we're in the car, and I go, I think one of my favorite scriptures is like Galatians. I said Galatians like 4:20, whatever, at 13. He starts laughing. He's like, Galatians. And so it's funny that I haven't thought about that since then, but I was finna mix the words up. So that's why I stopped that. But no, it's the Galatians 6:1 where, with that whole thing really, where it's just like, hey, listen, bear your own burdens, bro, because you're gonna get your opportunity. But bear your burden, the burdens of your brother, because whatever. So it's that whole aspect of, we also understand, like, whatever I talk, I gotta go practice it.
Also,
you know what I'm saying? So it's not just like I get to sit and point my finger at y'all. Jesus was the only perfect person that walked the earth, and we still don't know how much of a struggle he actually had, being both God and man at the same time. So it's like, man, I can't look at anybody. I can't even look at Adam and really look down my nose at him. But I do want to have conversations to get understanding on why it is that even as men, we don't take more pride in leading. One of the things I've been talking about for 5-6 months, man, and it matters so much to me, is leading well. Not just leading, but leading well. Am I a good steward over the people that I'm called to have responsibility over? As a man, as a father, as a husband, as a union steward, as a worker at a job, am I maxing out my capacity in who I'm called to be? And I just, man, all this influence, and I understand that we live in a broken, fallen world too, but it's like, that's why I want to have these conversations, because I think if people did see the other side of the coin, maybe they would care a little bit more.
But this is really simple. Like, you brought up how to be a better man. What Adam was doing, down to everything that he's been doing for years, it was all destined to fall, because it wasn't building anything for the kingdom. Okay, he was tearing down our community in many different ways.
Oh yeah.
So the chickens came home to roost. Like, it's like, like, I mean, we're all glorifying the gang violence.
Yeah.
Having people come on the show and snitch, like Selena Powell. Then there's the porn. Then there's the porn in his, because you always have the porn stars on. Then he started doing the porn with his wife. Like, it's just like the guy had no. He had no morals. None. It's like he would do whatever to continue the ride, to keep getting the clicks, and to keep bringing the traffic, and to keep making that money. And it's like, we all know how that story ends.
Yeah. Every time. Yeah, bro. I just, my thought process was really simple, man. I just want us to do better. That's it, bro. And I hate that. I hate it, but it's like, what did you expect? And maybe you don't care when you're at that level, and you could go make more money, whatever. But I just think at a certain point, I think our name has to mean something to us, bro. Like, I think for a long time, from speaking for myself, I don't think I really understood how important it was to have a good name. Like, beyond just, the friends around you. Like, what does that one dude think about Anthony when, it's people who address me a certain way, which lets me understand and know that they view me or have some understanding of me in a higher light than what I even realize. Like, people who pay attention to the way that I present when I go to work, like from the button up shirt to the tucked in, you get what I'm saying? And I'm like, I want it to matter more to us, man. And I think some of it we might be fighting a losing battle or beating a dead horse, however you want to look at it, because we're not called to judge the world.
Old school. And that was an awesome segue, and you didn't even know you were doing it.
Yeah.
But it's like, my name is my name.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, my name is my name. Oh, people was talking junk about me, and you didn't tell me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it's like who you are at the core.
Yeah.
Like, it matters. And some people it matters, and some people it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that is going to be a big determining factor in like who you really are. Who can I trust? Who do I go into business with? Who do I marry? Like, the reason why I'm married to my wife, there's one reason, because she is honest. From the first day that I met her, she has always been honest with me. And I recognize that because when we first got together, there were things that she told me that it did not cast her in a good light, but she was honest. And so I respected that. And it's like, if you're going to be honest with me, and I know that I can count on that, then so then I had the time to see all the other beautiful things about her, but we have a basis. You know what I'm saying? It's like that allowed me to actually go further. It's like, oh, like, wow, like you're like, you're honest. Like, I can trust you. Like, we can start having these conversations. And so it's like, from there, we can actually build. Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah. It made me think about recently, like within the last couple months, I went back and rewatched The Wire. And it made me think about Marlo when you said that. It's like Marlo was willing to lose and risk it all over his name. Period. Like, they've been saying that they're in jail, they're caught, they're busted. And the dude is like, man, they were saying such and such. He's like, who was saying what about me? My name? And it was like, he got out. At the end of the series, he's free. He goes to the block, gets into a fight with some random dude,
takes the gun off of him.
Yeah, then somebody cut him or something. Man, he was just like, he loved the hustle, number one. But he always knew from the beginning of it, I'm gonna go out in the blaze of glory, and my name mean everything. And so, yeah, just being in that position now, man, being close to 40 now, Lord willing, I'll be 39 this year. It's like, you start thinking legacy. You start thinking like, and should have been there, but I think I didn't come from that. And so I was exposed to that through good people, men and women around me, that it gave me an opportunity to peek at the other side of what life looks like.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so, man, people like Ben Conyers, bro, like I probably haven't held a phone conversation with Ben in years. Like, when I say years, I mean years. This dude still texts me to this day, quarterly, monthly. Hey, bro, love you. Hey, bro, how?
Because that's the heart that he has.
There you
Let me tell you a story about what happened with him. No, so just this other weekend. So we're having a garage sale at the church. Okay. So I'm talking to this lady, right? And lo and behold, I actually know her, but I don't realize that I know her until my daughter comes up and says hi to the lady's daughter. And the ladies, they go to school together, and the lady is the principal of their school.
Oh, okay.
Right. So because she had on like a hat, like, and they had
dressed down.
Dressed down, and they're at the garage sale. And so we start talking, we're talking some more, and then she walks away, and then her daughter starts passing out. So I hop up, I run, I go, I catch her. She comes, we go inside, and then I kind of leave, like some other girls like start to like, and so then I come back outside. So then she says, no, like, I'm gonna call my husband, right? And I had talked to her about the church, and I said, hey, why don't you come? She's like, well, we have visited this church before, but we have a church home. And I said, well, like, I'm a youth pastor. If you're ever in town, come by. And so then when the husband comes, and then they get the family in the car, and the husband stands up and he goes, hey, does Ben Conyers still go here? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, man, Ben always checks on me. And we were like, yeah, his daughter is the one that just put your daughter in the car.
Yeah.
And it's like, like, how many years? Like, because Ben used to live right there, so he knows everyone in the neighborhood because he used to walk around and talk to people and pray for people. And so he's still like he's friends with this dude for many years of him just reaching out and checking to make sure. And then look, his daughter is the one that actually renders aid to this guy's daughter that he's been pouring into for years.
There's a purity in faith, being a faith walker that you can't fake, and that it permeates. And I'll say, since I was 12, I think I met Ben when I was 12. Like I said, I'm 38 years old. He has been the same guy.
Yeah.
He loves Jesus. He loves coffee. He loves being in water in Oregon. And I'm trying to think, what's his favorite team, his favorite basketball team? It's been a long time.
Oh, the Trailblazers. So
I'm like, and I'll say, and he loves basketball. Let me just say it like that. And I'm like, man, he's probably, if I had a Mount Rushmore of believers, he's probably number one. Like, that's just the impact, man. I'll be honest. I seen somebody that I knew from Crossroads, and I was going to get my hair cut in a certain area, and I was like, I'm not talking to them. Like, I'm just being real. I would never try to stop and have a conversation with them. If we seen each other in passing, I would speak. But Ben, he's just that guy, man. And so I'm grateful to be a believer, but I'm also grateful that I know men like that, because that's a real standard. You know what I'm saying? I learned so much in my young faith from him that is still stuck with me to this day. You know what I'm saying? So
and he's still doing it.
I know he still sends me like two paragraph
he has
messages.
Like a discipleship every Saturday that I'm usually either working or doing something with my kids. You know what I'm saying? That I can't make. For sure. And he still invites me every Saturday. And then when I come, I'm always blessed. It's always a great time, or I mean, he even does a Zoom one. It's just like, I've been working on Saturday a lot. Like, he's really about creating community.
Yeah.
And I mean, even the house that he got, they got that house so that way they could do more ministry in his house. From when he moved from by the church to Arlington.
Yeah.
Like, the goal was that we need a house that has a bigger living room and more space, so that way we can host more people and do more discipleship.
That's when I know my Jesus ain't Jesus in my life.
He's
like,
just built different. How are you gonna adopt your niece and just raise her, and you have no kids?
Yeah,
you didn't even start your family yet, and now you gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like when you think about things like that, it's like, how wouldn't I? But that is a whole lot of responsibility at a very young age, and then just like stepped up to the plate and took it on. Like, those are special people, because everybody's not built like that.
No doubt. No doubt, man. 1,000%.
So we've both been built up. So when we talked about the fruit of the tree, you see how important it is, like what the tree that you were a part of, and who the people that poured into you, and what you were able to take from that. Like, and so you have to put that in perspective, because everyone didn't have that.
And bro, I think that, like, besides the fact that when I came to know Christ, when he came to know me, or allow me to know him, that was something that I couldn't manufacture. That was something I couldn't make up, being able to see my sin for the first time. Right. But then there's this aspect of like I just said, when you see somebody like Ben, you can't, like, I can't think that Christianity is horsepucky, is washed, because I've just seen the real representation, not just from him, but when you got men like that in your life, it's just kind of hard to be like, oh man, tough times came, and you know what I'm saying? Like, no, bro, it's impossible. It's impossible. So,
or when you take things out of your own hands and put it in the Lord's, hands and then the Lord comes through, whether it can be the good or the bad situation of what you or your perception of what happened.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And then later you can see that okay, the bad happened and you thought it was bad and it might have been bad for a year, but it really wasn't bad because that facilitated this, you know what I mean? Or the good happened. And like, I mean, but it's like you, and so now you're
the
at
perceived good.
Perceived good.
What we perceive it to be, it's like it's literally him really working it out for the good.
But it has just allowed me to let things go and let the Lord lead me. Like, so I said, okay, so it's about around the same time, because we're going to say, I don't know when you left the church, but so 2015, right? For the first time, I truly allowed I can't say that for the first time, but it's like once I started from here, because actually that was when I was at my all-time high relationship with Jesus. And it's crazy for me to say that as in the past, but it's like I was just so free and I had less responsibility. So I had less on my back. So I was able to be freer at that point. And I was studying to be a pastor. I was constantly in my word because of school and then and praying and everything. And so, but I had my own aspirations of what I wanted to do with my life. And it's kind of like God knew what I wanted to do, but the Lord wanted me to be in communion with him about where the Lord wanted me. And then he literally showed me, because an opportunity presented itself and it seemed like it was a great opportunity and it was a ministry opportunity. And me and my wife talked about it. And then we said that we were going to pray about it. Right. Yeah. But I got busy and I didn't pray about it. And so my wife, a couple weeks later, said, hey, did you pray about it? And I started to say, yeah. And just say like, yeah, like, let's do it. Right. But I hadn't prayed and I felt a check. And so I said, no, I didn't pray, but I will pray. Right. And so then I prayed and nothing. I heard nothing, absolutely nothing. And we have a thing where if we pray and either we hear an answer and we move forward, or if we hear nothing, that means don't do it. Right. Because we want to know that we hear the Lord telling us to move in whatever direction. Right. And so we finally had that conversation. I was dreading having this conversation because this was a really good opportunity. And for sure. So I said, yeah. She said, how did you pray? Yeah, I prayed. Oh, what happened? And I'm like, yeah, nothing. Okay, so we're not doing it. Yeah, we're not doing it. And so turned out that wasn't a great opportunity, because some people that we know ended up taking that opportunity, and the person that they reported to was an alcoholic, and that situation ended up messed up. And the very next day after me and my wife had that conversation about me not taking that, the CEO of my organization called me and said, hey, Desmond, like, you like working with kids, right? And I was like, yeah. And he said, well, your name is at the top of a very short list of people that we want to be the director of this new facility that we're opening up. And I had wanted to be the director, but we had a director. I was the number 2. I was assistant director. And then at that point, it was like he wasn't going anywhere. And we worked great together. So I wasn't mad, but I did want to be a director. For sure. But it was like, as soon as I included the Lord in my decisions, and the Lord, like, I removed that one because I didn't hear from the Lord on that. The Lord said, oh, I know what you want. Boom, here you go. And so it was like from that day in 2015, I have not been able to make a major move in my life without seeking the Lord's approval. And so it's like I might have said that I was doing it before that, but I really wasn't. And then once I actually saw how it worked, and it's not because I got the job, it's because the Lord was listening. The Lord knew my heart. And the Lord wanted to be a part of the decision because he wanted that communion. He wanted that relationship. And so it's like, now my relationship with the Lord is different. And it's like, if I don't hear anything, I don't move.
Can't say that's always been my approach. Can't lie. It's a lot of like, sometimes I think we can mystify faith and we could intellectualize disobedience, things like that. But I think it's a few things I've struggled with. What I know I heard God say, or what I know He showed me, versus the reality of what it was that is in front of me, and just the whole idea of what it means to be a son. Because I in my 38 years, like, I still don't fully think I understand what that means. I think I know what I've wanted it to mean. And I think that's why I've had so many broken dynamics with men and God. But a lot of it is probably still always just came down to like surrender, like give God what He wants, and it would probably be no different than that. It's like, oh, I know what you want, but it's like if you're trying to go after something with your own ideals and your whatever, it's like God showed you something, you're like, oh, I know what I could do with that, and it's like, that ain't what I want you to do with that though. So therefore, I'm not gonna give it to you. Or you can work hard for it and get it, and it's not gonna be satisfying to you. But being able to relinquish what doesn't belong to you and give it to God is always going to be the best option. But I don't think I've done the best job at that. And I don't think I've always, it's like, it's almost like that. I don't know if you remember that meme from years ago. I've never forgot it. It was a representation of Jesus, and it was this little kid, and she had this little bear she was holding behind her back, and Jesus was asking for the small bear, and it was this humongous one that he was gonna like give to her.
Right.
And it's like, that sounds great. But if you don't understand the concept of delight yourself in the Lord, your what is it? I will give you the desires of your heart.
And the widow with the oil. You know how she gave like her last oil?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, yeah, if you don't understand that, and if that has never been your reality, it's really hard for you, because that is literally stepping out in faith.
Yes.
That is like you're walking on water moment.
And in return, what you may get as a result of your obedience, if your heart ain't in the right place to receive that, if you don't really understand that what God didn't do or what He actually did do was best for you, you're going to be in a worse off position, because your finite mind cannot grasp, and there's a lack of surrender and humility in it. You'll be mad at God. And so I would like to believe that I've gotten better at it for sure. But it's like with me, it's like, even in the context of like this, right? Like, this hasn't come without toil. Like, I can show you videos.
I can tell.
Man, I like, bro, there was some, I can show you the skeleton of this place when me and Randy first signed the contract on it. Blue wall, green wall, it was just a mess. Tacks in the wall, in all the walls. And it's just turned into this. And this is, more like, and this is pretty much what I want, essentially. Like, it's just a matter of, some faulty, I broke the cord, the thing earlier, can't figure out how to get this to, I did figure it out now, but it's just a few more things. It's there, right? But it's like, I've had so many people prophesy, bro. And not just like I see BET Awards. I mean, just like literally speaking life and saying what they see. Man, God is going to do something amazing, or think it not strange if you're on these stages, or just speak, or what's the word, like, where people, what's the word, bro, where people
prophesy?
No, it's like where they speak well of you. Anyway, just, I've had so much of that in my life. Like, where people who don't, they just like, man, they've just spoken so well. And it's like, when you look at the result of it, it made me have these expectations out of life, or even from God, where I'm like, I must not be living right, because this ain't adding up. Like, there has to be some
God's
level
timing.
True. So no. I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
No. I'm with you. I'm just saying, like, so, because it's like, your view just meant that you thought that it would happen faster.
Yes.
And so,
or in a different way.
Yeah. It's like, because it can happen just like that.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I think that was the part of it though. And what I explained to my buddy recently, it was some months ago now. I think what I understood was what it really looked like for me to surrender was, I see this. I got all these things that God showed me mixed in with things that I want, things that I desire truly in my heart. I think those things were nailed down to the base of my soul. And to surrender is, God, I want all of this stuff, but I done took the nails out and I hold them loosely. Whatever you want to do with this now is on you.
Amen. Yes.
And it's not easy.
No, it never is.
Because here's the thing, right? Here's the thing that I struggle with sometimes still, or communicating to people is, man, I love what you said about being, and man, I'm going to get a bigger house so that I can minister to more people. And I wish I could say that was, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wish that I could say that. But you know what? You get this humongous platform and I'm going to preach Jesus to 50 million people. But it's like, man, there's still a lot of selfishness that could be rooted within me. Or it's like, how do you balance ambition with selfish ambition, right? Mm-hmm. And some of that stuff I've gotten clarity on. It's like, selfish ambition only serves you. If I'm out here just seeing how I can become the less, let me how can I say,
the enemy's going to attack you too. So you got to also be ready for that too.
Oh yeah. So I remember talking about this years ago when me and Randy were in this back room, and I said, what if God gives me what I want, quote unquote, but I can't keep it in my pants? Like, what if I become the worst dude ever? But I'm seeing stages and I'm seeing so absolutely I'm with you 1,000%.
And that's why I don't worry. That's why I don't fret about what I've done and what I have, because what I have, God knows that I could handle this. And if I would have had more, I might not have been able to handle that.
Yeah, for sure.
And for so sure. It's like, yeah, like you can have regret, but it's like, I don't know. Like, I made it through and I made it through well. So it's like, yeah, like you have, I'm sure you've had some trials and some tribulations, but you made it through. You're still standing and you're fighting and you're serving the Lord. So it's like, okay, like, yeah, I'm still here. I'm still standing and I'm ready.
Yeah. Yes. So see, I love these conversations, bro. I really do. I live for this. Like, I am a conversationalist at heart. We could do this for hours. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is truly what I do. That's why even with the interview platform that I have, I just enjoy it, man. I think I take approaches that others don't. It's not just about, hey, look how great of a businessman he is. It's like, nobody cares about that, bro. People want to know if they can trust you. Are you a good man? Do you love your wife? You know what I'm saying? Like, where did you come from for real? Like, that's the stuff that people want to know. And I think that will help build more credibility, especially amongst us. When you talk about even like going back to the therapy talk and stuff like that, so that's my approach to that. But, man, I don't know, man. I have a lot of responsibility. I've made a lot of mistakes, bro. Relationally, I made a lot of mistakes. And I still think there's a part of me that success equals approval, because I didn't have any kind words for me growing up. I was just a dude from the hood who, even in the 4th grade, I could speak and give my teacher chills. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, that literally happened. That was probably the first person to speak life into me, was like, you are going to be a speaker. Like, you are going to do X, Y, and Z. And I didn't know what I possessed. Okay, cool. I'll hold on to that, because that was something that was important. And that's what I was the word I was looking for, affirmed. I've had a lot of people affirm me in different areas of that. And so that became who I was, not just what I did. You get what I'm saying? And so that also comes with this own set of identity issues, never had a father in my life. Man, I'm gonna be honest, bro. I remember when I told Pastor Corey, I believe I was supposed to move on and, you know, go to a different church, bro. He really kind of blamed me. And I got nothing against him. I still love him. He's the first man, one of the first men I ever looked up to as a young guy. He would give me clothes to wear, all type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But he kind of blamed me a little bit, or like kind of made it seem like I was being away, and I never talked to him again. We never talked again, really. And I visited the church once, but it was just like I've always had those type of experiences with men. Like, and it's like it's got to be a part of the story that God has crafted in some way to build something up in me and to be able to have something to give to other people or to handle differently, you know. But it hasn't always felt the best, you know, because I think I felt like a Lamborghini with a Hugo engine. Like I really have been, and that engine could represent my heart almost, you know. And it's like I've been so battered by life and people and circumstances, no different than anybody else. I'm not a victim, but I think it made me go so inward, and I'm just gonna protect my heart, and I'm just gonna figure this out, and I'm gonna be hard-headed, and I'm gonna do it my way. And oh yes, a God up there, but I don't know how to really
survival mode.
For sure. That's exactly what it is. And it's like, I'm gonna just thug it because this is what I know. I'm gonna hang on to what I know.
Right.
And it's like
you can protect yourself.
Exactly.
But it's like, that's not life.
That's not life for a believer.
Well, no, yeah, not for a believer, but I'm just saying, like, the goal that you want, believer or not, even if you weren't a believer, you still want better for yourself than that. You're just scared to let go because you feel like you might get hurt.
Yeah, and let me be clear, I'm not there, but that has been the lens through which I've looked at. That's been the lens through which I've looked at life, how I've approached a lot of life. And I think, you know, people like my friend Randy, you know, my lady LaShonda, it has been people like that, because this is what I had a revelation about. Just, it was like Sunday, a couple, like, you know, 3, 4, 5 days ago. I was like, man, there are people in my life, even Matt, that I was so rough around the edges, bro. I was the epitome of rough around the edges. I was a porcupine inside of a barbed wire fence. Like, I was just that kind of guy. My attitude, the way I approach things, I've always been quick-witted. I'm sharp with the tongue, like all of those things, and it could make me be such a rigid, hard person to be around and deal with. And a lot of people probably still think that about me, to be honest, but I've had people who have loved me through that, who have showed me grace, that have still said, man, that's my friend. Hey, that nigga is hard-headed, but that's my boy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or my lady LaShonda, I've never seen a love like this, bro. It has been uncomfortable at times to have somebody believe in me the way that she is, like literally my biggest supporter, cheerleader, like believes in me. If I say, hey, we moving to Cambodia and we gon' she like, I guess I gotta learn the language. and she believes it's gonna happen, and it's reinforced something in me. And it's like, that's a gift from God, but they can't even do it as well as he can. And so it's like learning to understand that those people are just an extension of him. And so it's like, no. Imagine how much better it's going to be if you lock in with me. And so it's been a journey, bro. And it's been cool because I've had moments where I've had to be vulnerable and do things that I didn't want to do or that I struggled to do. And it's like, now I'm learning to embrace it in a different way because, bro, I've done it my way for so long and it didn't work. So now it's like, you might as well try something else. You might as well try my way. Like, you know what I'm saying? You did it your way and you have failed miserably. Congratulations. You did that A+ job at failing miserably. And so now, man, I've just learned to not even, I just told Randy this yesterday. I said, man, basically I told him I'm learning to do my own homework. I'm learning to like, don't look around at what everybody else got going. Like, don't look at how successful, and it's not that I've never been like a jealous hearted person. I promise I haven't. But it's like, if you're not careful though, you'll be like, I don't care the one. What this is. So I mean, he probably got, and it's like, that ain't got nothing to do with you, bro. So just, you know what I'm saying? So just focus, man. Focus on minding your own business.
Yeah.
And let God do what he do. You be faithful and show up. And man, he's the restorer of time. He redeems the time that you lost. And he don't add more to it. He just redeems it in a way that you can only imagine. So anyway, we got one more topic, man. You've been hanging in there. I know you probably tired, man, but we're gonna talk Karmelo Anthony and we're gonna get out of here. Man, for anybody who been rocking and y'all gonna continue to rock, we appreciate it. This show is only gonna get better as we continue to build the cast, and we definitely gonna have my boy Dez back for some more. Very insightful guy. Quite a conversationalist himself, you know what I'm saying? But Karmelo Anthony, man, for those of you who may be watching this, if you've been watching the news today, man, the black arena is in an upheaval yet again. It amazing, bro. I feel like, and I want to be very careful here because I feel strongly on both sides of the fence with this, that we look for any reason to look at white folks as the enemy or the reason for something. Let me start this off by saying, please let's not forget that a life was lost here. Whether he got jumped by 4 people or it was a one-on-one fade, it don't matter. A kid lost his life. We don't know if he was racist. We don't know if they had any, we don't know these things. But he lost his life. And as a result of this, we don't know what I don't know if there was an update on the sentencing to this point.
No, he hasn't been sentenced yet.
I know they were saying it was coming quickly. But this kid may spend
25
his
years.
youth in jail, in prison, and we still don't know even if we saw a video, we don't know all the facts. So just be mindful that there are lives that are affected while we're out picketing and trying to pick on older white men and making it seem like we care so much. A lot of this stuff is like transference for black people. And I feel like racism and prejudice is so baked into our spirits at time and in the culture of America that it has made it to where it didn't matter if he really did something wrong or not. We just wanted him to be innocent. If I'm being honest, I didn't know anything. I just, from what I heard, I believe the kid probably was innocent.
I believe he was innocent. I believe that he didn't go there with the intent to hurt the kid, and he warned him, "Don't put your hands on me." And the kid put his hands on him, and he stabbed him. Now, do I believe he's guilty of like reckless endangerment or manslaughter? Yes. I do not believe that he's guilty of murder. Yeah. And I don't think I don't see, well, I'd see it's the racism is the reason why a black kid can be tried as an adult and convicted of murder of a white kid, because if the races were reversed, the verdict is different. And we know this because it's our lived experience.
It's our history.
It's our lived
in this country.
Yes,
hundreds of years.
It's like there's no way that he was going to get away with it, because the feeling would be that if he got away with it, that then now every white kid is under attack, and under threat. And that's a threat that they refuse to live under. They refuse to be scared. There's no more white guilt. There's no more white fear. Well, it's there, but they're going to do everything they can to flip the script so that way they don't have to feel that. Man, this kid's life. I mean, 2 lives lost. Yeah. In the blink of an eye. There's always a way to avoid the conflict. This is one of those things where you win and you still lose.
Yeah.
He felt like he avenged his honor, and stood up for himself, and now he's gonna have many years to think about what he did while he's in prison.
And talking about this ad nauseum the last couple of days with my partner, I said, it's always gonna be hard to explain what were you doing with a knife at that place in the first place. It's like you can say whatever you want to say. Oh, he feared for his life, and you're like, yeah, but he showed up fearing for his life. Like, what was the knife? Why was this knife present?
All right. So yeah, no, this is now we're going into things that are not confirmed yet, because there was no videos in the courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I understood is that Karmelo Anthony had gotten beaten up by the brothers within a week of the murder. Like that they had beat him up, right? And so you could say that he had the knife for self-defense because he had already been beat up, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you got beat up, you can be suffering from PTSD. You could not want to be beat up again. I've worked in the school. Well, it's been a minute, but kids bring knives to school all the time to protect themselves. They don't bring it to stab someone. They bring it so that way they have protection in case someone comes after them, because kids have either made threats or beat them up already. Now, those same kids that come to school with the knife, if that knife gets caught, they get charges,
Yeah.
But it happens all the time. Like that kids, for a lot of people, they don't notice. I'm from New York City. I worked in a school where an alternative junior high school where half of the kids were there because they had stabbed somebody or attempted to stab somebody. Like some of them even stabbed teachers. You know what I'm saying? And then I was their teacher. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so you like, hey,
it's like the understanding, like it's respect first.
What do you say to the people who say this is just a soft generation of kids that are being raised right now? That it's the guns are used, knives are used before a fight happens. I got bullied for a little bit in middle school. I never thought about bringing a weapon to school, and I'm not looking down on Karmelo. I don't know the full in and out of what happened.
Gotcha.
But I'm like, man, even when it came to like homicide and roast and stuff like that, that stuff used to cut. I was gonna go home and practice. You get what I'm saying? On how to do things. And I'm not saying that it's a softer generation. I think that's something that sounds cool. I think for the guys who are 10, 15 years our elder, they probably said the same thing about us. What do you think about the status of the younger generation of young men that are coming up now?
I think our world is cooked, to use their terminology. I think when you have the kids with that, they're just on social media and they don't know how to interact with other people, and they have social anxiety, and they have, it's just a host of things that are like the screens are not helping. Because you would think that with the amount of, I was just talking about this, kids, they don't know numbers. They don't know people's phone numbers, right? They don't know how to talk to other people. They're texting. They don't even know proper English because they're doing all the shorthand in the texting. And I could go on, but you would think with all this time that they're saving, that someone would have come up with the cure for cancer, but no, because they're spending all that extra time scrolling and looking at TikTok videos. You know what I'm saying? They're doing TikTok dances. It's like, my mom would say, if I knew like Rob Bass just passed away, I'm singing like "It Takes Two to Make a Thing Go Right." She's like, you better know your books, like that it takes two, like all the time. Like it wasn't like, it was like we had to know things, we had to learn, we had to use our minds. And so I think they're soft. I think that they don't know, like they're too caught up in their phones, they're too caught up in their image. in fake images. They want to be influencers to talk to people that don't know them. They feel community in spaces with people they don't even freaking know. There's online predators. Like, come on. Let's get like, and so you know what's gonna happen. I mean, so there's gonna be a nuclear bomb, and everyone's gonna be living in bomb shelters, and then they're gonna have no electronics, and then the world will go back after everything, all infrastructure's broken down. Then we'll get back to the basics. And this part of this is why I love camping. That's another thing that Ben loves to do.
Oh yes,
right.
Yes.
We go camping at least once a year. You know, with our sons now.
Yeah.
And so you're able to just chill out in nature and talk to people and have real conversations and look at the sunset and look at a sky that has no, like, and see the stars in the sky because there's no light because you're not in the city and the sky is beautiful. You know, I mean, like, these are the things that really matter. It's like the glory of the Lord, like on full display. And you just have to be paying attention for it.
Yeah, man. I it's tough, right? Because even as men who, I have a bonus son, you know what I'm saying? And it's certain things that I'm just like, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle if this don't change. And it's not, it's just reality, bro. It's like when we look at these young men, you understand the world that they're going into. It's not my job to coddle you and baby you. Now, can I be kind? Yes, all of those things. But it's like, man, you're going into a world where if you don't give the right response, something can happen to you, and it can happen to you quickly. And your life has changed. Your family's life has changed. Look at this situation. You know, we could laugh and look at what's the Friday when Craig had the gun, and you know, y'all so quick to pick up a gun. And it's like, but no, it's a real thing. Like, one of the things Kevin Samuels used to ask, when's the last time you had a fight? And he talked about how the youth of today have not been punched in the face or had the threat of being punched in the face. And he talked about how young men, well, that there's a mutual respect amongst men because there's always a low level of violence that can happen.
Right.
And it's like everybody hides behind keyboards. And when you see people in person, they get to hide behind the persona of who they were on the internet. But then when they get in front of you, want to take pictures, and it's like, no, that was not how it was, bro. When you talked about something, you had to do it. And it was a checks and balance system to manhood, to how to live our lives and coexist. You get what I'm saying? And so it's unfortunate, man. I'll just say that as we do bring this to a close. I don't know how long we've been going. It's been a while because I think we started around 8 something. But man, I just think that as men, we have to do better, and that's why we will continue to have the conversations that we have on this podcast. And where it goes, speaking to the conversations. And I hope that there's a generation of men and women who want to listen in and get, because I believe that our only hope is Christ. I think you could talk about black people rising all you want to. Christ, I don't believe that anything will be fixed until he comes back. I think that there are things that we could do as human beings to love on each other.
Let's bring him back.
And
you know,
yeah, but there's still work to be done. So yes, you're right. But I'm like, but we have to start knowing who we are and to walk in how we're supposed to actually affect the world. You get what I'm saying? Whether that's in finances, family, you know, whatever that may be, bro. And so I will never not mention Christ on this platform. There are other topics that I had up there we didn't get into, you know what I'm saying, that are more popular culture stuff. And, you know, I'll get into that at some point, but I definitely want to hit these topics. And, you know, hopefully these clips are something that people can pull something from. Just so you know, I will be having a Patreon, and a lot of stuff will be, you know, behind a paywall. And, you know, I'm just looking to bring in the right people and, you know, give the masses what the masses, you know, what they come for. Like I said, the cap that is, you know, but I don't believe that just because we're talking about Christ, that it can't be something that isn't entertaining or informative, or that even may be a little racy or testy at times, but I think that's exactly what Christ embodied. And so that's just who I am, man. Listen, man, my boy D Atkins in the building. Man, I appreciate you. I know you probably ready to go lay it down, man. Gonna get these clips out as soon as we can. I appreciate everybody for tuning in to an episode of the Mind of a Man podcast, man. As I end every episode, life is hard enough, so please don't just live elevated and be exceptional. Until next time, I love you. May the Lord keep you, and I'll see you on the other side. Selah. Peace.
All right.